Hey Tia, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful you could jump on and we could talk about your company. I would love if you could introduce yourself and the company.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. So, my name is Tia, and I am the founder of Order of the Bookish. We are a book production and author consultation company. So, we do a lot of things with authors, and then we also offer a bunch of programs for readers as well. And really, we just like an inclusive, fun little bookish company slash community.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us why you started Order of the Bookish.
Yeah, great question. So this goes back, I guess, a few years now. So I started reading in middle school when Twilight came out. I was like die hard, Twihard. It's the book that got me into really liking reading because I had never liked reading before that. So I really got into Twilight, really got into just like reading anything fantasy, paranormal fiction that I can get my hands on. So I decided at an early age that I was going to make money doing what I love, which is, reading books. So in college, my goal was to be like a literary agent, get into publishing, have that whole adventure. And that didn't work out because that was a time when Kindle was kind of taking over. So publishers were, they were doing layoffs, they were closing shop, they weren't bringing on even interns. And if you were trying to be an intern, you had to have like 10 years of experience already, which was just crazy as a college student. So I couldn't get into that field. So I switched over and did more marketing. I did photography, graphic designing, helping small businesses. And it wasn't until pretty recently that I kind of just thought to myself, and I was like, Tia, you like what you're doing, but you don't love what you're doing. And what I love doing is reading books. So I had been doing marketing, I had these skills. I had been reading. I had, I'm subscribed to all those publishing emails, so I knew about the publishing industry. So I was like, you know what, Tia, you're gonna do this new thing. You're gonna do the thing that you've always wanted to do since you were a little girl. So, about a year and a half ago, I started my smaller blog, which is Books for Movies, and I just started blogging to sort of like get it out and start my voice and start building an audience and stuff like that. And then a year ago, I started Order of the Bookish, which just started as small reader groups, just helping authors a little bit with setting up review teams, which is our most popular service, and helping with marketing, the stuff I was really good at. And it's grown pretty significantly from there. But yeah, it all started just because I really wanted to make my living reading books.
Love that. I know you mentioned what services you offered. Could we start with breaking down your author services under marketing and research?
Yeah, definitely. So that's probably the field that I'm the most comfortable in. It's what I started growing with when we started this company is, mostly in marketing. So we do a lot. I mean, like I'm not going to go through every little bit, especially because we change so often. Anytime something comes up and we realize there's a need in the market, we do tailor our services to fit the needs of the authors. So the most popular right now is the review team service, and we call our review team our readers the bookish boosters. That's what we've deemed them. They're people who just like to read, they leave reviews. We occasionally do street teams as well. So authors essentially hire us to manage their reviews, making sure they have reviews on social media, Amazon, Goodreads, all that good stuff. And then the street teams post book blasts and book promotions all across their social medias to hype up the book. So those are our most popular. The street teams are limited because they are significantly more work to set up. So I do limit those spots. And then the other popular marketing is book trailers, character art. One thing that I did a lot in college was video editing. I was really into video production, so I wanted to bring that here, but I wanted to make it affordable. So hiring someone to make a book trailer for you can cost thousands of dollars, which as I was building this company, I was looking at, my competition and I was like, I'm not doing that. Indie authors can't afford to spend $3,000 on a 30-second trailer. Like that's just not fair. So, with the use of like AI programs, I've used like Kyber, even Canva now, I'm able to make really affordable, eye catching, incredible book trailers for these authors that go up on all of our social medias. And then the author can use it for all their socials, for their website, and stuff like that. So, that's another really popular program that we have. As well as the character art. So the character art is really great for marketing because I feel like a lot of readers get more invested in a book when they can visualize who the characters are within that book. So those are our most popular. And then we have stuff like research. So we'll do analytical research for the author. We look at who their competition is, who bestsellers in their niche or in their genre is, and figure out how that independent author can mimic that bestseller to help them grow as well. So we do market research for them. We help them with their Amazon A plus content and really just give them consultations on what they can do overall from a business perspective to help boost their book.
Love that. I would love if we could dig in a little bit deeper about ARC teams and street teams for authors who are newer or emerging. What are they and why are they so important to them to think about?
Yeah, so reviews so incredibly important. For one, at the base of it, readers look at reviews when they're trying to decide if they want to pick up a book. And that goes for just about any product. You know, you go to Amazon when you try to buy something, you see, let's say you try to buy a mattress. You see hundreds of mattresses come up on Amazon. How do you choose the one that you want? You look at prices and you look at the reviews. Is this a good mattress? Is it soft? Is it too hard? Et cetera, et cetera. So we're in a culture right now where there's so many options available for everything. So how do we decide what to choose? We look at the reviews. So that goes the same for books. Authors who are new, don't have an audience, especially need to work on their reviews the most, writers like Sarah J. Maas, Stephanie Meyer, they don't need to hire review teams because they already have a presence in the book world. If you're a new and independent author, you have to work 10 times as hard to get your reviews in. So that's why a lot of authors hire us to manage it for them because it is just so much work to get readers interested, to get them to finish the book, to get them to post their review on the appropriate platforms, things like that. But a lot of people call reviews like that system of getting reviews ARC, like an ARC team or an ARC team. ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy. But what we see the most is actually getting reviews for a book that's already been published. So we do have review systems set up so that we can promote a book that's currently being launched or about to be launched. So you get an advanced copy of the book before it's actually out to read. But so many authors are new or have published a book, but they kind of did it wrong the first time. So now they have learned what to do properly. So they hire us to revamp their book. So what they're getting, the reviewers on our team, the bookish boosters, are getting a copy of the book that's already been published to help revamp the current book. So it is an ARC team, an ARC team, but it's not really an advanced copy of the book. It's an already published copy of the book. But we still use the term ARC or ARC, and you'll probably see that if you're like in the bookish community, you'll see that term a lot is ARC and ARC. And that just means it's a copy of the book, usually digital, that you can read and review.
Love that. For someone who's maybe not ready to be or able to invest at this point in your company, what advice would you give them on starting their art team or street team? What is the most important thing that you think they should do?
Oh my gosh, stay organized. So that's probably one thing that authors I feel like find the hardest to do. And it's definitely been a struggle for us as well. We have about 300 readers on our Bookish Boosters team. So we have to constantly keep track of all the readers, making sure that they're posting on all the right platforms, keeping track of the books they've been reading, how many books they've done, how far along in the current books they are, and just like staying organized is probably one of the hardest struggles in general. So for authors that, can't afford to hire us as a team, we're really affordable, by the way. Like we don't charge hundreds of thousands like a lot of the bigger ARC teams charge, which is crazy. But if you can't hire anybody to help you, the best way to go about starting it is just post blast on social media. Say, hey, I'm looking for ARC readers to join my team. I would love to get reviews for my book. Insert your book blurb, your book trailer, whatever, to try to get readers interested in that. And then keep track of their emails, keep track of their social medias, keep track of who you sent the book to. And every once in a while, like maybe once every 2 weeks, just send out a email or a DM to them and just ask how far along they are. Have they started it yet? When you can expect to see their review and just kind of keep track that way. But yeah, definitely stay organized when you do it and try to select people for your ARC team who are actually going to leave a review. So one of the struggles that a lot of authors find when especially when they're first doing this is that they send out their book to be reviewed to anyone who applies. So let's say 100 people apply, you send your book to all 100 people expecting 100 reviews. That's not realistic. You'll probably get half of those people who will actually start reading the book and then actually review it. So check their social medias, see if these are readers that are actually going to review your book, make sure that they're active, make sure they're posting, and then select those readers to leave a review for your book. Because if you select a reader who doesn't have any reviews on their social media, then that's probably not someone who's going to leave a review for you, and you're just wasting your time and sending your book out for free a little bit unnecessarily. So do your research, look at who you're sending your review to, your book to get reviewed, and just stay as organized as you possibly can.
Love that. Let's jump into the book production section of your business. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so book production is everything that comes before the marketing. So that's going to be, we offer ghostwriting occasionally, but it'll be things like ghostwriting, editing, and that includes copy editing and developmental editing, um, cover design, formatting, internal pages, because some authors now are getting into adding more internal photographs into their books, which is really fun. So we do that as well. So just literally turning your book from words on a Word document into an actual physical or digital book for readers to read.
Love that. Do you have a favorite formatting software?
So I actually just use Microsoft Word. It's what I started to learn on. I started playing it with it in college, and that was before things like Atticus came out. So I just kind of stick with what I know, which is Microsoft Word. I've played with Atticus a little bit, and as fantastic as it is, honestly, if you're especially a newer independent author doing this yourself, absolutely go with Atticus. Word does take a little bit of time to learn, but that's what I started with, so that's what I prefer using. And our other I do have a team. So our team members, I believe, use Microsoft Word for the most part. The two that I use the most that format books also use Microsoft Word because they have been doing this a lot longer than I have. And they started before all these programs came out. So they started with Microsoft Word as well. And then I know someone else uses Adobe InDesign, which is another option for formatting.
Love that, and I can speak to Atticus. It's pretty user friendly, and there's lots of tutorial videos available, so that's what we love using here.
Yeah.
It says you offer editing. How does your editing process work for authors coming in?
Yeah, so super easy. You would just, contact us, let us know what your book is about, how long it is. We charge per word. So let's say your book has 100,000 words. We're priced off of how many words are in the book at the time when you send it to us. And if you have, let's say, copy editing, we can do it's up to you because some authors prefer it, some authors don't. But we can do like the edits in Word where it like it does the red I'm, like, completely blanking on the word right now. When it does the red line, what's it called? I'm, like, completely blanking.
I think Google Docs refers it to, like, suggestion editing or something.
It's kind of like that in Word too. I'll say it when it comes into my mind, but, essentially, when you do copy editing, the red line will come up and just cross out a word or to cross out a sentence, and you can accept the suggestions or you can delete the suggestion. I personally don't like doing that. Like, if someone's editing my book, I don't like seeing all that. I'd rather you just go in and edit, and then I'll reread my own book, and I know what I wrote in my book, and I know what someone added or took away, so I can go back and say, oh, I like this new change or I don't like this new change. But most of the time, copy editing is so focused on the minuscule things like a comma here and there, or I misspelled a word. So a lot of our copy editing is based on like the minute things. And then developmental editing is more of a conversation between the editor and the author. So the editor will go through, read the book, highlight sections, and make a comment on the side. So in Microsoft Word, for example, they would just highlight it and put in a comment and then have a one-on-one with the author of the book and say, hey, this is why I left the suggestion. This is what I think would improve the book. And that's more of a one-on-one conversation, whereas copy editing is a little bit more streamlined and robotic. The editor edits, the author can accept or decline the suggestions, and then they move on from there.
Love that. What would advice would you give someone just starting to look for an editor? What should they look for or expect?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because I've recently been seeing so many issues where new and independent authors don't really understand that there are lots of editors out there and they all kind of do things differently. We do things differently than some other editors. So it's really important to do your research and don't be afraid to reach out to authors that they've worked with previously. Don't be afraid to ask for recommendations, because there are new editors out in the world who enjoy reading books, but they don't have a background in editing. They don't have a background or degree or any kind of certificate in editing. So they're kind of just like, no offense to them, they're kind of just like readers who are charging to edit your book, but they don't really understand the English language well enough to concisely and practically edit a book. And that's sort of coming to light more often now. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to see these authors spending money on editors who don't give them the product that they deserve. So really just do your research, make sure the editor has they've been doing this for a while or they have a certificate or a degree, they have been doing this and they know what they're doing. They're not just kind of new to this. And ask for recommendations, ask to see their latest 3 examples, ask for a writing sample. That's another thing editors are doing more frequently now. And actually I recently started doing it is I have a few manuscripts where like the first 3 chapters are sectioned out. So if any author asks for a writing sample, I send them samples of editing work that we've already done. And I say, hey, this is what we did for this author. The author asked for this kind of editing style. They wanted us to focus on XYZ. So you can see our work here. And then I'm always very open about authors that I've worked with. I have them all listed on my website. You're welcome to reach out to them at any time. So recommendations are also a really big deal. If the editor that you're looking at has never worked with an author before, if the editor that you're looking at has worked with authors, but all the authors have negative things to say about them, then of course, look at those red flags and then find someone else because there's tons of editors in the world and it's really important that you find the right fit for you.
Love that. And one thing we've noticed, even at like going to conferences online during this time, is that a lot of editors now will give you that first 1 to 3 pages so that you can see their editing, see if you click, which is super nice to see if because everyone edits differently. Some edit more in depth, others edit super lightly. So it's always important to make sure that they're the right fit for you, and don't feel bad about trying multiple editors. That's one thing that I've seen some people feel bad. They want to feel committed, but it's okay.
Yeah, you can shop around. It's totally fine. It's a service. So, like, the idea of like buying a car comes to mind. You don't go to the first car that you look at. You shop around to find the perfect fit for you. This is your book. This is a long term commitment. You're going to stick with this book for a very long time. And if you have to go through another round of edits with another editor because the first one didn't do a good job, then that's, not the ideal situation. And unfortunately, that does happen. So, yeah, shop around for editors. It's okay and necessary because your book absolutely comes first.
Love that. Let's jump into the author toolbox. What is it and how does it work?
Yeah, so the Author Toolbox is actually vlogs right now. I'm a little bit behind on posting, but I do, we don't do gatekeeping here. So I try as often as I can to put up an article written by either me or my business partner. And we're really just sharing things going on in the publishing community. I think I have a couple of publishers up there that the publisher wrote an article and submitted it to us. These are publishers that, I've looked at, I've seen their authors, I've talked to authors that work with them, I've talked to employees that work with them. So I know that these are legitimate publishers and small presses because we have also had that issue in the book community where publishers are scamming or being sketchy. So I want to make sure that the ones that we publish on our website are vetted. So we have some of those up, and then we have just like tips and tricks for authors. So at some point, I'll put up an article on how to use Atticus or an article on how to format in Microsoft Word. I have lots of ideas that I need to do that just take a little bit of time, so I'm behind. But yeah, the Author Toolbox is what it is. It's what it sounds like. It's a tool for authors to use who want to do it themselves or want to learn how to do it themselves. And if you find something that you can't do yourself or you don't have time for, like formatting, then you can very easily, send us an email or purchase a service on our website and we'll take care of it for you.
Love it. Now, for the toolbox, is that something anyone can access? Is it subscription based? How does that work?
No, so no gatekeeping here. It's free for everybody. You just go on and you click the tab and you see all the things that we offer for you. At some point, we are considering doing courses. Again, we're going to keep it really affordable. Everything that we do, we keep really within what an indie author's budget would be. But we're considering setting up courses just to do more one on ones on a long term basis for the full book production and marketing, all in once. But that'll be, long time from now. So for right now, the toolbox is open to all. Go for it, and it's fun time.
Love it. Let's talk about the bookish boosters. How does that work since we do have readers who listen in?
Yeah, so I absolutely love my bookish boosters. Like I said earlier, the bookish boosters is the name that we've given to our review team. We currently have about 300 on the team. We would like to add more. I don't restrict anyone from signing up. There is a link, super easy to find in the Bookish Boosters tab on our website. You just go in, you fill out a little bit of information, name, social media, email, stuff like that. And then you sign up for the team. We'll add you in, and then on the first of every month, we send out an email to all of our bookish boosters who have signed up, and that email will have a list of books that are currently available to read and review, or they need better beta readers, or they need a street team. So all the authors that hire us need various things. So that email will be all inclusive and it'll say descriptions of like what that author needs, what we're looking for, the cover, the blurb, the link to their article, because we do have author articles on our website as well. Um, and essentially, you just send me back an email and say, "Hey, Tia, I want to read this book. I want to read Twilight." And then I send you the digital copy. You have a month, but we give extensions, because life comes up. So we're not super strict about, hey, you only have 2 weeks to read this book and leave a review, because that's unrealistic. Nobody has time for that. I hate seeing review teams who give such limited deadlines. So we say, hey, please leave your review within a month on your socials, Goodreads, Amazon. And if you need an extension, just let me know. It's all good. But yeah, that's essentially what the bookish boosters are. They just are a bunch of readers who genuinely love to support the bookish community, the new and indie authors who work with us and just want to see more amazing books in the world. And they're happy to leave a review to help these authors. So absolutely amazing. I love my bookish boosters team. We also have really cool programs for the bookish boosters. So a lot of my interns, a lot of the assistants that we've had, even some of our permanent team members have come from the Bookish Boosters. So when we hire or when we bring on interns, we only bring them in from the Bookish Boosters team. We don't do outside hiring. So that's like a really cool way for the Bookish Boosters to sort of, not that I'm a publishing company, but get into the publishing world and, start building up those skills if they want to be a publisher, if they want to be an author or anything like that.
Love that. That's super unique. What type of intern positions do you offer to your bookish boosters?
Yeah, so they're usually in the blogging realm. So that's kind of why my blog right now for the Author Toolbox has been slacking, is because we don't, at the end of the year is our craziest time. Like we're super busy right now. So I haven't been able to bring on interns these past couple months because we're just catching up on so much work. But starting in the new year, the interns will be mostly bloggers. So their job is going to be, writing articles for us, doing research. We've also had a few assistants, and essentially their roles are all different. So I've had assistants to help with the Bookish Boosters team with managing that. They will manage like the group chats. I've had a couple of marketing associates that also come from the Bookish Boosters team. So their role is literally just to engage with authors. So they are like the presence for Order of the Bookish on social media. So they help us stay active. They help us, get the word out about our services. If we have open spots for the Bookish Boosters team, they'll put up a post on their feeds for that and just generally help with marketing. So it really kind of depends on what the company needs at the moment, but it also depends on what the reader is interested in learning. So I've had a couple of readers come to me and be like, "Hey, Tia, I'm really interested in learning about audiobooks." And I don't really know much about producing audiobooks. That's not a service that we offer. But I said, okay, that's great. Go ahead and start practicing, and I will help you with it as much as I possibly can. and you can be our like audiobook associate. So if an author has any questions about audiobooks, you can let them know. You can write a blog about it, and that can be your thing, and we'll learn and we'll grow on that together. So if a reader at any time has something that they want to learn and practice and grow a skill in, we will help them with that, and that will be their own sort of like self made internship.
Love that. So I know a lot of people when they hear internship, they think, "Oh, I have to be in school, I have to be in college." Is that the same for you or do you open it to anyone?
Yeah, absolutely anyone because, like I said earlier, I struggled so hard getting an internship. And that was when I was in college and was doing it with the credits and, more officially. And that wasn't working. So I didn't want my program here with the Bookish Boosters, with Order of the Bookish, to be that restricting. If you are 40 years old and you are making a shift in your life, a career change, and this is what you want to do, come intern for us. And a lot of our interns become permanent associates and team members. So that's a great way to grow within the company is to start with the internship. Or if you just want to learn new skills because you're shifting gears in your career, come intern with us and we'll be happy to like leave a recommendation for you and be that person for you to help you grow in this new career that you want. So yeah, it's open to anyone. Absolutely anyone. We don't have that restriction.
Love that. So for someone who wanted to work with you, let's talk typical startup. Do they get a consult call with you to see if you're the right fit? How does that go?
Yeah, so that was actually one of my small business growing pains, because I tend to be more optimistic and just, like, wanna help everyone. One of the issues I had in the beginning was that I opened up this program, these internships and associate positions, and I was like, "Hey, if you're interested, just send me an email." So at that time, I was sort of hiring, like, anyone who was interested via email, and I was like, "This isn't working anymore." Like, we had so many issues. We had people who started it, did it for a week, and then just kind of like dropped off the face of the planet, or they had like life going on and couldn't commit. So we've made the application process slightly bit harder. Like now you have to do the cover letter, the resume, and it's not a strict cover letter or a strict resume. I just kind of need to know what your background is, like what skills you currently have, what skills you want to grow in, why you're interested in this position. So you do have to put in a little bit of work other than just saying, I'm interested in an email. And then we do an interview together over a Zoom call where we just talk about what you sent in the email, about what your goals are in the future, what you want to learn. And we set up kind of like a talking meeting schedule. So if it's once a week, once every 2 weeks, we'll touch base again to see where you're at, what needs to change, and just kind of like general growth stuff that we talk and discuss. And in between that, we're just sending DMs and emails, and I'll send, let's say, for example, they're a blogger. And I'll send them an email and just say, hey, would you mind writing a blog about this topic? And they'll say, yeah, I can do it in 2 weeks. And I'll say, okay, perfect, sounds good. And it's very casual, but we do try to stay very communicative and open. So that is one of the requirements that you do have to have like consistent communication.
Love that. Let's circle back to authors that want to work with you. What's the first step they would take? And can you walk us through the whole process of working with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very long process. I like to think that we're very open and just like easy to have consultations and like talk to. So a lot of our authors, it's a little bit of a mix. So most of our authors, I think, end up talking to us on Instagram DM. That is where I'm most active. So an author at any time could just slide into our DMs and say, "Hey, I'm interested in hearing more about your review program." I'll send them a little bit of information on the reviews, prices, what you'll get, how it usually works, things like that. And they'll say, okay, how do I sign up for it? And I'll send them the link to our website where they can submit payments and submit their book and submit their blurb and all that information through our website. And then that's pretty much it. So start to the DM on my side, and then it's a link to the website where they can submit payment and their book. And then that's really all they really have to do. I take it from there. For other things that are a little bit larger, things like ghostwriting, things like um, I don't know, big marketing projects, author assistantships, because we do offer on a limited basis assistance to help authors who have consistent sales going on and need help with like everything, like character art, book trailers, marketing, sending emails, mailing lists. So, like the full spectrum. So that takes a phone call or a Zoom meeting and, more emailing, trying to figure out what they need. So that'll be a little bit harder. But for smaller programs like the book trailer, like the reviews, street teams, it just starts with an email or DM, and then that's about it. So super simple. We try to be as easy as possible for authors.
Love that. So, tell me about book boxes. Is that something that you offer or you plan to offer?
That is so great. I'm so happy you asked. Yes. So we just actually launched book boxes in our TikTok shop. So I don't know if you're on TikTok or if you've shopped on TikTok at all, but TikTok just launched this really cool new program where, you can open up a TikTok shop and sell a product on TikTok. And it's so much fun. I'm so happy I did that. Earlier this year, I decided to take on yet another project because I'm not doing enough, apparently. And I really love the idea of doing book boxes for independent authors. So we have a few listed right now. I will be listing another two throughout this week. But essentially, we're just trying to help independent authors, one, earn a little bit of extra income. So the authors that do sign up a book box with us do make a little bit of money off of it. But just to like help with their marketing, help grow the interest. Sometimes, especially with the holidays coming up, people would rather have a full book box with all the merch and the cool stuff in it rather than just an individual book. So we have that really cool program going on. And everything, almost everything in the book box are handmade or sourced from small companies. So there are a couple small companies that I use consistently. All of our book boxes have a miniature book in it and a book sleeve, along with a bunch of like other book merch to go with the book. So these are like hand curated, very special, and they're also limited editions. So whatever you see currently available in the TikTok shop, like whatever that quantity is like literally all we have. So for example, I think I have one bookish box, the Mystic Magic one. We only have four available at the moment. So once those four are sold out, then that's it, not bring it back, and then we'll replace that with a new book box and something new will come out. So we're just going to have like a constant turnover of really cool bookish merch and book boxes for readers who love supporting indie authors to go ahead and buy in our TikTok shop.
Love that. For someone who's starting out with TikTok, there's a lot of authors who are starting to go over to that platform from Instagram. How hard was it for you to set up a TikTok shop?
So setting up was actually so easy, mostly because they actually invited me to set up a shop. So it's not that I reached out to them, it's that they sent me, I think it was an email, and they said, "Hey, we would like you to set up your TikTok shop. We see that you're a small business, blah, blah, blah." So I set it up and I got approved within like 24 hours. Like I did it and then I went to sleep. And then the next day I saw the email that it's set up and it's ready to go. I think it took me like 20 minutes to put all of my information in, and it was super, super easy, got approved really fast. Listing all of the products is really similar to listing on Etsy. So if you're a small business and you've used Etsy, it's really similar to that. I'd say it's even easier than if you have Shopify. So if you are a small business and you use Shopify, easier than that. So honestly, super great program. And what I love the most about it is that TikTok covers full shipping. So I don't actually have to pay for shipping. The reader doesn't, or the buyer doesn't have to pay for shipping. TikTok covers the cost of shipping. And TikTok also covers the cost of discounts. So if you see a discount in our TikTok shop, um, we're not losing out on income. The small businesses and authors involved in this program are not losing out on income. The TikTok, you know, gods who are controlling it are actually the ones covering the cost of whatever that discount is. So if you're a small business or even if you're an author who wants to sell their books through TikTok, absolutely incredible program because you get so many perks and benefits right now. I don't think it's something that they're going to keep for a long time. It's something that I think they're doing now just to get the program going. And I think they're going to take it away some point in the near future. So if you're thinking about starting a TikTok shop, get on that now while they're still running all these really cool programs.
Love that. So I heard that you're starting a podcast. Tell me more.
Yes. So, it's currently on YouTube. At some point, I will add in Spotify and stuff like that, but I haven't quite figured out how to streamline the editing for it, for the audio and the video and all that. So once I figure out that technical stuff, then I'll add Spotify in. But yeah, so the author interviews is something that all authors who work with us get as just like a bonus promotion. So anytime you purchase a service or work with us in any capacity, you automatically get the opportunity to have an author article that's posted on the website and an author interview. And that author interviews have been so amazing and incredible. It's only been a couple of weeks since we started it, but everyone's really excited about it, and I'm so happy that we're getting, like, more and more, growth in that area. So the author interview is posted on YouTube, and then I make a bunch of short clips to help promote that interview, and those clips are posted all over our social medias. So if you're on any of our feeds, you probably see, like, a really annoying amount of videos of authors come up, but those videos are just, like, little clips and snippets from the actual interview to help promote it, and the point of the interview is one, to help the author get their book out there. So these authors are telling you about their book, about their writing process, but it's also to help other writers. So I ask these authors a lot of questions about, what is your advice for new and indie authors? Do you have any tips for marketing? Can you tell us maybe something that you did wrong that you wish you hadn't, or something that you did wrong that new authors that are just starting can avoid? So these interviews really are to help the author push their book, but also to help other writers grow and to not make, the mistakes that we all make when we first start writing and publishing. So I try to keep it as open and available to everyone and just make sure that everyone can get something out of these interviews.
Love that. I will say from running the podcast, we started ours when this airs, it will be in our podcast anniversary month. We'll be at 1 year. It's been a year.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I will say we found Simplecast and we love it because it can go to all the major podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, um, Deezer, and a few others. There's like a whole list, and you just put your RSS feed, and it made my life 10 times simpler. So that's our huge thing, especially if there's authors that want to start a podcast. I know that's becoming more popular. Simplecast has been a life and time saver for us.
That is really great to know. I'm going to look into that because I did not realize how much work this was gonna be when I started it. I knew it was gonna be a little bit of work, and I think I've just made my life significantly harder by doing these clips out of the interview. Like if I had just posted the interview, that would be easy enough. But I also make the 5 to 10 clips for every author, and then I have to schedule post them across all those social medias. And it's like 3 to 4 hours of work just for one interview. So if I can find a way to span across all platforms and continue the marketing and promotional part of it without, like adding more hours of work into this, that's exactly what I want to do. Because I love doing this, but it's getting a little bit hard to manage my time.
Yes, I will say that without Patrick editing our audio, we would be even farther behind than we are. So
Mhm.
definitely helps to have things in place.
So I love that you're asking me all of this like order of the bookish stuff. Is there anything that you would love to see out of a company like mine that maybe I'm not offering that new and independent authors could really use a lot of help with?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm
I'm
always
always
looking to
looking
grow.
to
So any advice, I love hearing from authors on how we can improve and how we can make life easier for authors.
So, coming from just having I only publish short stories, as a lot of our listeners probably know, but even from that perspective, I would say that you have a lot of amazing offerings already, and there's a lot there, so it can be totally overwhelming. So, having the podcast this episode, how you're going back and forth and explaining things is amazing. So if you have, a cheat sheet or something for people coming in, or, a video that says, "Hey, don't get overwhelmed," This is a lot that we offer, or
Mhm,
even just, sometimes I've seen places where they offer, a 15-minute call for the people that are so overwhelmed, because it is overwhelming. There's
mhm,
so much that goes into marketing, and marketing changes every day. So,
mhm. Every day.
it's one of those things that you're like, "I don't know what's gonna happen that day." It could be a great day, it could be a bad day. I would say, having something for when people get overwhelmed and they're
Mhm,
like, "I don't know what to do." I mean, even like I know you offer branding and logos and website pages and designs and stuff. That process alone is one of the hardest. I know when I went through it, I was lucky. I knew the person that did our podcast branding and everything. The first time we went through it, I'm sure I was like, she's gonna hate me because this is not what I expected at all. But then it came back and it was like, okay, I actually like it, you know?
Mhm,
So it's one of those where it's like that open communication of if someone wants to work with you and they feel it's the right fit, having that little door, not a huge door, because we all know time is important. If it's
mhm.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, where you jump on a call and you'll be like, "Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah.
You're not at that point yet. I mean, you need to start here." Just that little guidance, even if it's, like, in the author toolbox of, like, almost a timeline, if that
Mhm,
makes sense,
mhm,
of,
yeah,
like because, yeah, there's marketing stuff you have to do before you publish, and some people
mhm,
don't realize that, like,
yeah.
those little extras that are always fun and, like, get you back on track because it can be a lonely world.
Yeah, this is a really hard, business to be in, and I love that you brought up the author branding. So many authors don't have a brand, it's kind of just their name and their book. And if you don't have a website or you're not super active on social media, you don't really need a brand. But if you want to get up to that level, you need to act like a business because authors are businesses. You're an authorpreneur. That's the word for it. And you got to have the branding and the logos and taglines and subtitles in place, and that is a lot of work. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So after we end this, the first thing I'm going to do is set up some kind of timeline resource, and I'm going to put it in the author toolbox completely free of how I think you should do your book production and your marketing. Just like step by step guide of what I think you should do based on the success that I've seen from new and indie authors. And I hope that helps authors who are like unsure of where they are in their process and what they should be doing next. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much for giving me that advice.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any other questions for me?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that was a really big one and like very random and off the cuff. So I'm glad you were able to answer it so thoroughly. But yeah, that's what I really always want to know is just like how to improve not just as a writer but as a business owner and as a bookish person. Because I think part of our world is that we should always be open to just making improvements as much as possible because there is constant change going on, and it's really hard to make those changes unless you ask someone with fresh eyes, like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to do better?
Love that. One thing I will tell people, which is way off the cuff, back to the editing thing, is take a step back because your book's your baby and it might editing's gonna might make you cry. You might never wanna cry about anything else, but it might be like, "They hate it, it's trash." But the one thing
Mhm.
that someone said to me was and, like, I know there's stickers about it and everything, "All hail the shitty first draft."
Yeah.
So don't I almost want it to be like, don't feel like your editor's your enemy. They're there to help you. And, like, I think
Mhm.
that's something important to mention because it can seem like you're on opposite teams. And,
Yeah.
like, that's why it's so important. I know it's way off track from where we were just a second ago, but it just popped in my head that it's so important that you have someone you trust and, like, a group of people you trust so that you're not off on your own world being like, "Well, this is trash. I'm gonna give up." It's it's not trash.
Mhm.
It's just they're
I
trying
mean,
to
the
help
first
you
the first
create.
draft probably is trash.
Yeah, yeah. It
But I
probably
think if you go into getting an editor knowing and just feeling in your heart, you could be a writer for 10 years. If you want to publish a book, that's a whole different thing than just being a writer because you kind of have to publish to market. Like you need to know what your genre is, you need to know the tropes, you need to have like a clear plan. You can't just kind of like write as a pantser. You need to have a plan in mind and a plot and everything. And that's a totally different ballgame. So I think if you go into getting an editor or a book producer, knowing that your first draft is going to get torn to shreds, it will hopefully make your life a little easier. Your first draft is supposed to suck. That's like that baseline. That's where you start with. That's the idea. That's not the book. Your manuscript is not the book. It's just the idea. And then you build the book from there. It's so funny that you said that. I actually sent an email a couple days ago. So we do offer free consultations. It used to be Zoom calls and phone calls, but we've just kind of been like running out of time because so many authors request it, and there are like literally not enough hours in the day to do it. I was doing it at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning for a long time just to like meet authors in their time zones and stuff, and I just couldn't handle that anymore. So now it's all over email. And I sent an email the other day of a consultation, and I looked at her book, I looked at her marketing, and I, as nicely as I could, I was so nice about it. But I was like, you need to change everything, all of it. It's too short. There's no cover. You need to rewrite the whole thing. You're not writing to market. Your reviews, it looks like they're all 5 stars, so it looks like you bought them. And you kind of just need to like start from scratch and just do it all over. And it's so heartbreaking to tell an author that, but sometimes those heartbreaking news are what's going to get you to that next level of, oh, I'm a successful published author, not just published author.
Love that.
Hmm. It's hard to be an editor. I don't like giving advice like this, but I really do want to see more incredible books in the world. So I kind of have to take that stance of like, I'm going to be nice to you, but I'm not going to be nice to you because I want you to get to that next level.
Sometimes the truth hurts,
The truth, yeah, always hurts. The truth always hurts.
especially when you're reading it.
Oh, yeah, so then you could just see it forever.
Yep, yep. Usually I don't open up, but I will tell the first time I got something back, a critique on 10,000 words, and all I saw was red, I had to close the document and walk away because I was like, "And it's a dumpster fire."
Mhm. Yeah, those red marks, man, they hurt.
Yeah, yeah, it's way different, like how you said that you just go in and sometimes, like, edit depending on the person, I'm like, "No red marks, all for that."
Yeah, so at least for me, I tend to take edits a little bit personally. So I like when I can just read my book and see the changes rather than look at my book and just see it completely like red, like all the way through. It's just not even words anymore. It's just red lines. Like the whole book is just red lines. I'm like, okay, I cannot take this as a human being. I have feelings. I know in theory that I shouldn't take it personally, but I'm a human, so of course I take it personally. So I'd rather just like not see the red lines and just see the changes that you made. But that's just me personally. Some authors like the red lines and like the clarity. If you can handle it, go for it. Good for you. You're stronger than I am.
Love it. And it's okay to take it personally. That's one thing people need to realize that it's okay to have emotions. You don't have to be like shut down about it. Just have emotions. It's okay to cry in a cup of chocolate.
Yes, feel your feelings and then get back on track.
Yep.
Hmm. Like, don't let bad edit, like, if someone gives you advice on editing or on completely relaunching your book or like a really hard tip, have your feelings about it, but don't let it stop you. That's the one thing that I hate seeing authors do and hate seeing writers do is that they want to take it to the next level and they want to get published and they get this hard advice of, oh, you need to completely redo the book or, oh, you don't have enough words. You need like 100,000 more words. Um, and they just quit. And that, like, you should absolutely not do. Don't let the negative like energy around your book. Don't let it stop you from actually reaching your goal. And I absolutely hate seeing authors get so dejected that they just quit. That's what I did. And when I was applying to publishers, I was like, oh, no one's hiring me. Let me just quit. And I should not have done that. And now I know better. So I really hope, like, if anyone listening to this can take any advice out, it's don't stop. Just keep it going. Your first book might be trash. Your first draft, your first manuscript might be horrible. Just keep going and keep improving, and don't let any of it stop you.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you coming on and talking, especially with National Novel Month coming up when this podcast episode releases. I'm sure there's so many amazing tips in here for people and so many on the website. I'll be sure to drop the website link into the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And I know with different services, all the services you mentioned are potential to change throughout the year. So always from us, and I'm sure you recommend going to the website or reaching out on Instagram. Is that your main hub, Instagram?
So I am trying to be more active on TikTok. I feel like the messages and comments get hidden a little bit, but any social media or you can email us, any form of communication, we're super open to, and I reply within like 48 hours. So yeah, just hit us up any way that you want to, and we're happy to get back with free consultations, tips, advice, setting up services, stuff like that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today again, and we really appreciate you.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I love talking about bookish things. Thank you so much, and good luck with everything that you're doing with next month. And congratulations on your 1 year anniversary.
Thank you.